Hey there nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and welcome to Necromunda Hired Guns, your ultimate guide to the gritty Underhive of Games Workshop's Necromunda. In this series we dive deep into the fascinating world of hanger-ons, brutes, and hired guns. Whether you're a seasoned gang leader or just step into the dark corners of Hive Primus, our in-depth analysis will help you master these valuable allies as well as your assets. And on today's episode we're going to talk about the humble Ambot. There's three different varieties of Ambots that are available for your gang to recruit. We have the Lutheran Pattern Excavation Automata, the original Ambot that's available to almost every single gang in Necromunda, aside from your outlaw gangs. But not to worry, if you are an outlaw gang, you do have the Scrapcode-Corrupted Ambot, which we'll be talking about in this video. And for those of you guys who want to go on more of the corrupted chaos side, we have Czarn the Cyberoath, which is a dramatis personae Ambot that gangs that have chaos corrupted gangs can actually recruit for their organizations. So that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the humble Ambot and talk about which one would be best for you to dominate in the Underhive. Up first, we're going to talk about the Lutheran Pattern Excavation Automaton, also known as the Ambot. The Lutheran Pattern Excavation Automaton is a heavy construct built in the imitation of the Ambot, a huge, roughly humanoid Xenos creature common to the hot, arid worlds. Thought to have evolved in the endless desert of Luther McIntyre 9 in the Segmentum Solar, the Ambot is now common across the Imperium. Humanity having attempted to domesticate the brutes to make use of their traits, Ambots are natural tunnelers, their powerful limbs ending in diamond-hard claws that enable them to dig through rock at a surprising speed. Their eyes see in the infrared spectrum, making them imperceptible even to us at the slightest levels of light, and they're even able to detect heat signatures as visual stimuli. The transport and trade in Ambots is extremely heavily controlled throughout the Imperium due to how dangerous they are as hunters and how unsuitable to domestication they have proven, escaping from any form of captivity and wreaking havoc upon human populations and mining colonies the galaxy over. The greatest successes in domesticating Ambot lie in using the creatures as the organic component of a heavy mining construct. Specifically, crafted instrumentalities are fused with the brain and nervous system of the Ambot in a process perfected by the Adeptus Mechanicus to circumvent the most ancient laws prescribing the Machina Malfecta, the dreaded machine that thinks. When the creature awakens in a new robotic shell, it retains the natural tunneling instinct it had when it was flesh, while the aggression and hunting impulses are suppressed by cranial governors. Consequently, Lutheran Pattern Excavation Automata, or Ambots as they are commonly called in the Underhive vernacular, are not uncommon on Necromunda, where they are utilized for slag mining and ash excavation. A common danger of using such constructs, however, is that there is always an Underhive gang willing to pay for the opportunity to liberate such a prized commodity and utilize it as a weapon against their rivals. Alright, so let's go and talk about the Ambot. You can take up to two of these guys in your individual gang if you want to, and they cost 250 credits apiece. For Cawdor and Orlok gangs, though, they cost 185 credits. And I think the reason why is because the Cawdor and the Orlok are usually the laborers of Necromunda, so they have easier access to securing these guys if they want to. So let's talk about their characteristics. First of all, they have a 4-inch wound allowance, 3+ weapon skill, 5+ ballistic skill, 5 strength and toughness, 3 wounds, 5 initiative, 2 attacks, 8 leadership, 6 cool, 8 willpower, as well as 9 intelligence. Now that combat statistic of a 3+ weapon skill, 5 strength, 5 toughness, 3 wounds, and 2 attacks make them perfect close combat killing machines as well. At the same time, when it comes to their equipment, they have a light carapace armor, gives them a 4-up armor save. They also have twin tunneling claws as well, which allows them to strike at strength 5 minus 1 AP with 2 damage. At the same time, that is a brutal close combat attack as well. Not to mention, they also have a short range shooting attack as well. They have a Melta attack with that 5+ ballistic skill. Short range is 8 inches, maximum range is 8 inches with a strength 6 minus 2 AP, 2 damage with 5+ armor piercing as ammo roll as well. They also have the Melta, Scarce, as well as a Sidearm trait too, so they can actually use one of their attacks for their tunneling claws in close combat and use a Melta attack with that Sidearm trait as well, which is greatly fantastic. You could of course upgrade this with a Grab Fist for sending credits as well. The melee attack is same as a Tunneling Claw, however they have a 6 to 12 inch range 3-inch blast template with -1 AP, 2 damage, and 5 ammo roll with graviton pulse and concussion, which is a really good aerial denial weapon. It can also cause harm to enemy vehicles as well. And this one is kind of dependent on, in my opinion, what kind of campaign you're in. If you're going to be in the Ash Waste, in the Amaranthus Session, or the Underhive, I say go for the Grab Fist, because that way you can cause some interference to enemy vehicles. But if you're staying in the Underhive though, just stick with the Melta Claw. It's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that as well. Now when it comes to skills, it does have the infiltrate skill, which means this thing can be actually an infiltrating assassin onto the tabletop. So this thing can come after you and really cause a lot of problems for your enemies too. At the same time, we have the Cranial Governor special rule attached to this thing, and basically it starts off in the game with a safe mode on, but you can turn it off any point you want to in the battle. When you do so though, it gains the Berserker skill from the Ferocity skill tree, which means when it charges in close combat, it gets an additional attack in close combat. However, the problem with that though is that their attacks kind of become reckless in this case, which means that all close combat attacks must be divided amongst all models of base-to-base contact, whether they're friends or foe. And once again, once you turn off safe mode though, it stays off until the end of the battle, in which case you can then, of course, reapply it to your fighter. Continuing on with the special rules, it does have the Excavation Automata, which means that you can put it in a Mining Works resource territory. So if you end up with a Mining Works, it's actually giving you additional D6 times 10 credits. So if you're playing a Dominion campaign, something to think about as well. It's also got the Valuable special rule, which is actually kind of an interesting one. Basically what ends up happening is if your rival gang captures your Ambot and you don't get the chance to rescue your Ambot, they can actually be sold for the normal fee that they add to the gang, or they can add it to their own gang for free, which means that, of course, that means they now have an Ambot in their control as well. So it's kind of like a way of actually taking away from your enemy as well, which is kind of nice. Now, when it comes to the Hemling Ambot, perhaps it's probably the best generic brute available to almost any gang that exists in Necromunda. In fact, a lot of people, and this is for good reason, whenever they start comparing brutes they can hire for your game, they often compare it to the Ambot, because the Ambot's kind of like the gold standard of a really good brute that any gang can actually recruit for yourself, and it's actually kind of nice as well. In my opinion, it's worth every single credit that you purchase it. In fact, it's the #1 downtime purchase that most gangs purchase in a campaign when they get their 250 credits, because it does extremely well. It's very versatile, it's very resilient, it can do a lot of harm in close combat. It's got a pretty decent shooting attack as well. However, there is one major problem with the Ambot. Because the Ambot is so good, it's going to be a bullet magnet, and your opponents are going to be shooting at it constantly, which means the Ambot's going to be pinned quite a bit. So as soon as possible, you want to get the Nerves of Steel skill for this thing as soon as possible, because every single time you get shot, as long as you pass a cool test, you can actually escape pinning, which would be quite great. And with a 6+ cool, it'll be skipping pinning 22% of the time. So always give it the Nerves of Steel skill whenever possible, because it's going to be really important for you. Otherwise, it's just going to keep on getting pinned. It can't really do much damage to anything. Up next is the Scrapcode-Corrupted Ambot. Not all monsters are made of flesh and bones. Some are mankind's machines gone awry, their brains subverted by scrap code, a malign tech virus that drives its subjects to madness. On Necromunda, mining automata are sometimes the targets of this malady, their systems corrupted by heretics or tech traders. Such a beast is an abomination against the machine god, a horror of iron wires and ruling mining claws loosed upon the denizens of the Underhive. Outlaw gangs will pay well for a Scrapcode-Corrupted Ambot, the mechanical monster easily as dangerous as a dozen gangers when unleashed into combat. Only the most desperate and heretical of individuals covet such monsters, men and women for whom the sacrilegious act of owning a mind-poisoned automaton is the very least of their criminal crimes. So for those of you guys who are playing an outlaw gang in your campaigns, the Scrapcode-Corrupted Ambot is your brute for you, because unfortunately as a outlaw gang you can't really get a law-abiding Ambot. You have to get yours the illegal way. So let's go through its characteristics real quick. It's got a 4 movement allowance, 3+ weapon skill, 5+ ballistic skill, 5 strength and toughness, 3 wounds, 5 initiative, 3 attacks, 8 leadership, 6 cool, 9 willpower, as well as 10 intelligence. Now once again, it's kind of neat because you do have a little bit worse willpower for this machine than you would for the normal Ambot, but you get 1 additional attack over the normal Ambot. So once again, this thing's a close combat killing machine with 3+ weapon skill, 5 strength and toughness, 3 wounds, and 3 attacks base. This seems to be causing all kinds of harm for your enemies as well. Once again, it's also equipped with light carapace armor, giving you a 4 armor save. It also has twin tunneling claws, and those twin tunneling claws, of course, have melted guns attached to as well. We talked about this a little bit more in detail, but those tunneling claws will give you strength 5 minus 1 AP with 2 damage, which is absolutely brutal. And once again, you have that melt attack, which is a 4 to 8 inch range attack at strength 6. Minus 2 AP, 2 damage, 5 plus ammo roll with the Melta scares, as well as a sidearm trait too. And once again, you can use one of those Melta attacks in close combat if you need to, especially if you're taking out something that's really hard or high strength as well. At the same time, you can replace one of your tunneling claws with a grab fist instead for 90 credits instead. That's 20 credits more than a normal Ambot, but I think it's supposed to represent the fact that this thing is like an aftermarket for something that's, technically speaking, illegal. You could also upgrade it with heavy carapace armor for 55 credits as well, and you can also give it armor spikes for another 15 credits as well. We're going to talk about exactly how that works. Armor spikes are quite nice because when a fighter moves into base contact, it suffers a strength 1 damage hit. Now, is it really worth the additional 15 credits? I don't know, it's kind of dubious, but it is up to you how you want to do it. Now, another thing to also remember about this creature as well is it does have the reckless trait for its weapon, for its shooting attacks, as well as its close combat attacks, which means that if anybody's in front of it, you got a pretty good odds of actually hitting your own guys. So if you decide to get the Scrapcode-Corrupted Ambot, you definitely want to set it on its own, so that way it can deal with things on its own and not cause any problems as well. Now let's talk about skills as well as special rules for this guy. Now, it doesn't have the infiltrate skill, so you do lose that on that. However, though, it does come stock with the berserker skill, so it gets 1 additional attack on the charge when you have, 5 attacks in close combat, and at the same time it does come with the Nerves of Steel skill automatically as well, which means with a 6+ cool you'll be escaping pinning 72.22% of the time, so that part is quite nice. Gives a little bit more of an edge over the normal legal purchased Ambots for your gangs. Now you do have the special rule of Machine Madness, which means that all attacks are reckless. So like I said before, you want to make sure that this Ambot's pretty much by itself, isolated from the rest of the gang, kind of Lone Ranger style, so that way it doesn't actually hit your own guys. It could actually go against your other enemies by itself. Now, there is something you have to worry about. Every single time you take an enemy out of action or put a serious injury on an opponent, you do have to roll a d6. And a roll of a 1, the Scrapcode-Corrupted Ambot immediately gains the Insane Condition, which means you got a 1/3 chance that your opponent can actually control the Ambot and not you. So that is something you do have to worry about. It does have the valuable skill as well, a special rule on top of it as well, which makes it exactly like the Ambot, so your opponents can actually keep this thing if you're not careful, so do keep that in mind. And we already talked about the iron spikes or armor spikes already, which is kind of a dubious upgrade in my opinion. But if you like it though, by all means, get it for yourself. Now, when it comes to my thoughts on this thing, this is the Outlaw's answer to the Ambot, because Outlaw gangs can't recruit the Ambot brute, so you have to go with the Scrapcode-Corrupted Ambot instead. You do lose Infiltrate, which is kind of sad, but you gain the ability to escape pinning, which is great. It gives you a little bit more of an edge over your law-abiding versions as well. It does have Reckless, so don't keep that in mind, but as long as you use this thing correctly and put it in a good position, you're talking about an unstoppable wrecking ball of destruction that'll pretty much make scrap of anything it goes against. The very last Ambot we're going to talk about today is Czarn the Cyberoath, an outlaw outcast leader. It's also a dramatis personae that you can recruit for your gangs. This is actually released in the Demons of Meridian Apocrypha Necromunda supplement that's available to download for free from the Warhammer community webpage. This is actually a special character that was created about a heretic who managed to merge his psyche and his consciousness with the body of an Ambot. So because I imagine an Ambot, but this time with human intelligence, this thing is absolutely terrifying, and we're going to talk about exactly what this guy can do for your gang. Alright, so Czarn the Cyberoath. So this guy's going to cost you 220 credits. He's got very similar Ambot stats. He's got 400 wound allowance, 3+ weapon skill, 5+ ballistic skill, 5 strength and toughness, 3 wounds, but he's got a better initiative with 4+ for initiative and 2 attacks. But here's a nice thing about Czarn, he's got a decent psychology stats. He's got 7 leadership, 5 cool, 6 willpower, as well as 7 intelligence as well. Now once again, Czarn the Cyberoath is going to be a pretty decent combat fighter as well as close quarters combat fighter as well. He's got pretty decent shooting as well as close combat because of the equipment that he has. We're going to talk about that here in a second. But for the most part though, with that 3+ weapon skill, 5 strength and toughness, 3 wounds and 2 attack, he's pretty much going to be in the press all the time in close combat. And of course, if you want to use him as an outcast leader, we'll talk about that here in a second, he makes an excellent leader due to his psychology stats as well. Now for his equipment, he does come with light carapace armor, which gives him 4 armor save as base, but his weapons are a little bit different this time because he's armed with paired Warp Flamer claws. Now, those Warp Flamer claws let him strike at strength 5 with -1 AP, 2 damage. But with paired makes these guys even deadlier, okay? Your character does 3 attacks base when he charges in close combat, but because of that paired trait, it bumps up to 7 attacks in close combat, which makes this guy even deadlier, especially when you combine that with some of the skills that he has as well. He's got Bullet Charge, Crushing Blow, and Unstoppable, so with Bullet Charge, you have the potential of actually having your attacks be up to strength 6 with knockback, so that's 7 strength 6 attacks, -1 AP, 2 damage. And knockback on top of that, and one of those attacks will be a Crushing Blow attack, which means that one attack will be at strength 7 and causes D3 damage. So like I said before, an absolute beast in close combat. And he's no slouch in short range shooting either, because he has Warp Flamers attached to his claws, which is a template shooting attack, so it's going to be a flamer attack at strength 4 with -1 AP as well, causes 2 damage, and also has a 5+ ammo roll as well. It does have the Blaze trait, which means you run a 50-50 chance of setting your opponents on fire. It's also got a template attack, which means it automatically hits. Plus it's got the Curse trait as well, which means once your opponents get hit with this thing, they must take a willpower test or gain insanity, which makes this guy even deadlier in close combat as in with shooting. Czarn the Cyberoath is absolutely fantastic. At the same time, like we said before, he does have Bullet Charge and Crushing Blow, which we talked about earlier, but he's also got the Unstoppable skill too, which means that before you make a recovery test, roll a d6. On a 4, you can remove a flesh wound. So if this guy's got flesh wounds on him, you can take those off, makes it a little more survivable. If there is no flesh rule, roll an additional injury die and then choose the result in case if you run into that kind of situation as well. Now let's talk about his special rule. So he is a Warp Corrupted Abomination, which means he can only be hired by outcasts, Hellot Chaos Cultists, or Chaos Corrupted gangs. So unfortunately, we are limiting exactly what you can take for your what kind of gangs can take them. But if you're an outcast gang though, which are extremely popular, you can definitely take them, or you can take them as a leader or as a brute. So either way, it's kind of a nice thing on that one. He's also going to be taken by Hellot Chaos Cult gangs, which is kind of fantastic, or any gang that's also Chaos Corrupted. So if you want to play a Chaos Corrupted house gang, for example, you could definitely take this guy as well. He's also got automated repair systems, alright, which that basically means that by tapping directly into a power source, Czarn is capable of repairing almost any level of damage that he has taken. He may attempt to repair himself as a post-battle action. In order to do so, roll a d6. On a 3+, all lasting injuries are removed from this fighter. So if you get any lasting injuries, which are kind of a pain, you can remove them, which is absolutely fantastic as well. He can also be taken as an outlaw outcast gang leader as well. So if you decide to do that, he can be the leader of your gang too, and at the same time, or hired as a bounty hunter, following all the normal rules for hired guns as well. So that's also kind of a cool thing about Czarn the Cyberoath. And he can only be taken by outlaw gangs, so that's another cool thing about him as well. In my opinion, Czarn would make an excellent outcast gang leader. I can just imagine a group of heretics who just kind of worship this guy and follow him to battle as well, which is kind of nice. If you want to make him into an outcast gang leader, I might suggest actually making him into a mutant outcast gang leader, because that way you have access to the bronze skill tree. At the same time, you can also add mutations to him, which could be all kinds of fun too. Or make him a weird archetype and give him psychic abilities, which could also be a lot of fun too, which could be really cool to do. And give him like Technomancer or something, so make his shooting attacks even deadlier. I mean, there's all kinds of cool stuff you could take this guy for. Or take him as a bounty hunter to use as a brute, which would be hilarious as well. So in conclusion, these are the 3 different types of ambots that are available for your gangs, and like I said before, they're the primary choice for brutes, and that's for an extremely good reason. These guys are close combat destroyers. They're also very versatile in the way that you can use them as well. They're good for law-abiding, outlawed, or corrupted gangs as well, so go ahead and pick your fancy. And speaking of which, as we're talking about these ones, tell me, which version of the Ambot is your favorite? Is the normal law-abiding Ambot, the Scrapcode-Corrupted Ambot, or is it Czarn the Cyberoath? For me, it's Czarn the Cyberoath, because you can make him to a leader. Having an Ambot for a leader just seems all kinds of cool to me. But like I said before, leave it in your comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. So there you guys have it. That's good for this video. As always, please like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to this channel. I am Commander Cheapskate. That's good for this one. I will catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.